What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the KCM. We're getting near the end of the season now. Week number 7. I'm going to start off with Speed. He's finally back in the lineup versus YSC. Game number 1. Speed on Dominator. Spawning in the center right, YSC bottom left. I actually really like this map, Shun. How do you feel about this 3-player map?
Honestly, I like it a lot, and I think when it first came out, maybe it looks like a crazy Protoss one-sided map, but even in like the recent BSL series I casted between Mihu and Zanhoon, actually Mihu was picking these maps as one of his choices, so doesn't probably seem as Protoss one-sided as I initially thought about as well.
It's one of those maps, the low ground main base, and so many different angles to fly in on. Turns out it's not as good for Protoss as we thought, though. Right, it's maybe strong for Zerg, though. As a Zerg player, I really do like this map. Mutalisk Harassment is really strong here, and it doesn't really matter that your natural is on high ground. You're going to be holding naturals in the current game state anyway. Having a 3-player map in the pool, it creates some really interesting Protoss versus Terran games, right? Because there's no secondary main base for the Protoss player to take. They have just one opportunity to take a main base and then try to hold that more than half of the map and win in a long game. It doesn't usually happen that way, though. We've seen a lot of crazy games on this map. None of them really going super late, and I don't think we've seen any mineouts in TVP so far.
Yeah, usually not. You're much more likely to see some sort of timing attack-based game, or at the very least some kind of like carrier switch that finishes the job or something. You don't usually see it go the distance as a result of the architecture of the map. But I think you do need to see some kind of 3-player triangle balance of a map in Starcraft. We have these 3 races, and that's what makes this game so unique. Back in the day, unique. Back in the day, we had 2 races most of the time for any RTS game. So Starcraft was the first game that really did 3 races, and it's so hard to balance. In fact, most of the balance maybe even be down to luck and using the map editor to fine-tune that balance even further. We've been able to create this great game, and I think a 3-player map is only necessary given that.
New map pool is going to be coming out soon, guys, by the way. I think some of those maps were announced, and so these maps may be going away, although a few of them might remain. I hope there's more 3-player maps in the pool. I think this is the only one we've got this season, and they've been messing around with a bunch of different ones. I think this might be my favorite, though, out of Apocalypse and all those other 3-player maps. Now, getting into this game, pretty standard openers on either side, just a gateway with the core spinning. We'll be getting into range first for YSC. Not gonna skip that in favor of a robo, so Speed gotta take that into account. Has a second factory on the way. Oh my gosh, so many Terran players are doing this.
Yeah, I've seen so many more 2 factories lately. It's insane. The percentage has just shot up like a skyrocket. I don't know if it's because it's New Year and the fireworks are just ready to be ignited, but it seems like it.
Seems like Terran players are favoring this build. I don't know if it's because Protoss players have adapted. I thought that maybe it was because more Protoss players were skipping the early range and trying to get the robo out quicker, and there's going to be some sort of really surprising timing. Oh, jumping on top of all these Marines. He gets 3 Marine kills, but he's losing these really critical units in the early game. He needs these for the defense coming up.
That's a lot of goon action early on. Pretty good. It will maybe force a little bit. He's only making 1. Okay, there's the additional Marine. It does slow down Speed a little bit, having to make a few additional Marines than he would like to. Does slow down the min-maxing of the build, and Speed is the kind of guy to squeeze every drop out of the orange if he can, so we'll be hiccuping the ebb and flow of the Terran just a little bit. But that Dragoon is very low HP now, so it does give some play. Speed wants to get out here with this Vulture if he can. Does manage to get out. Just 2 shots on that. That's insane. I thought he was going to take at least 3.
Having that vulture out on the map may force the Dragoons back, and that's going to delay when YSC finds out about this base. He didn't peek past the bunker to see if there was a CC coming. And so speed, I think, is going to get this 2 factory going really well. He's actually setting up the tank. Wait, where's that tank going? Okay, it's going to be sent back. That was a little bit scary there for a moment. The Dragoons are going to come back now that the Vulture is caught up in the top left-hand corner. They don't need to worry about the Vulture, running into the natural anymore. 3 tanks here, 4 Marines, I think, in this bunker. Pure Vulture rally is probably going to be coming behind this, and Speed going to pull the trigger. 2 more gateways coming up, but there's not a lot of production right now for YSE, and one of his Dragoons is way over across the map in the top left-hand corner. That Vulture tries to get out. It gets caught in top left, so that Dragoon can come back and join this fight now. Doing quite a bit of damage to these SCVs. Is he going to get caught? Trying to block the Dragoons with the SCVs, but Speed unsuccessful so far.
Yeah, it's really good technique from Speed, having those 2 SCVs available to him to both screen the goons and also maybe get behind them and kind of like hook them into place and like use them as like crab claws to allow the rest of the Terran army to chomp through. 4 Dragoons now. Does pick off one of those Marines tactically and the other one. Now back onto the high ground to fight the tanks. Vulture's coming in, trying to get some mines in the wake of these Dragoons. Can't quite fit between the gap and start laying them behind though. Instead, just 2 mines laid in the wake of these tanks now pushing forward. 1 Dragoon dangerously low on HP. 1 also now being sniped as well. Really good stuff here from Speed. Probes coming off the line, trying to target down one of these tanks. Dragoon comes from the outside, gets taken out, but has killed off one of these tanks. Probes desperately trying to help prevent mines being laid, but unsuccessful in doing so. Now there's 3 mines that are critically in great positions now.
Those 3 mines are prohibiting these Dragoons from coming forward. Throws down a bunch of pylons in the front just to cut off some surface area, buy himself a little bit more time. The Vultures are still able to slip by though, and setting up more mines in between. Oh my goodness, all the mines just about die. 1 mine staying alive there, and the Observer will make it out. I feel like YSC is going to hold this. It's
he should hold this. He's got 3 gate obs here, so it's like the safest opening he could have gone for, and luckily he's going to have enough tools to try and defend against this siege mode. Now ready though, trying to desperately drag out the mines. Can't quite do it with his own pylon wall blocking him though. Look at these Dragoons all getting stuck. He can't even get his units out. He does manage to snipe 1 tank on the periphery, but he can't really get through these mines quick enough. And now this 1 singular siege tank is going to be a nightmare.
That siege tank hammering away at these pylons. You can see he's not targeting the low HP pylon right off the bat. Okay, he does end up taking that out. I thought maybe that was because he didn't want the Dragoons to be able to slip through the wall. That wall kind of working against YSC. At the end there, more Vultures come up, but he needs a lot more damage than this. Speed trying to dive in here, get a few more probe kills, but just not really getting too much. Just 2 or 3 probes. Now the Dragoons are going to come running out, trying to get these mines to connect, not able to kill that tank. And now with a lot of these Dragoons dead, can he slip by and get some more probe kills? No. The Vultures all go down, and YSC will clear this out without too much more trouble.
I think this is just barely done by YSC. I think he's held it nicely. It's not like, obviously the best case scenario, he could have just won the game straight up by holding it more perfectly, but this isn't too bad the way he's dealt with this. I mean, Speed had an opportunity there where he could have really squeezed a lot more probe kills out of YSC, and that could have been a much different game as the CC comes online. But yeah, with the 3-gate Robo Observer, the most safest cookie cutter way of playing Protoss versus Terran, does have enough Dragoon production to get out there and clean that up.
This is the reason why 2 factory play fell out of favor. Protoss players have become way better at controlling the Dragoons and dealing with these sorts of attacks. Way more patience is required than usual Protoss play. You have to slowly back up and just buy time as much as possible. Eventually you will overwhelm what they're bringing out. Just 2 factors worth of Vultures trickling across the map is not a lot to deal with.
Right.
And YSC handles that attack beautifully, now in a great position to take this 3rd base. Will we see Speed able to slow that down? It seems like the setup from YSC is pretty good. Spreading up those Dragoons, he will get the probe over to the 3rd. Oh, didn't put that properly on the ramp, unfortunately. Might be able to block them in, though. and prevent them from escaping.
Well, sometimes I wonder if that Protoss players deliberately do this, where like they know they're ahead on units already. If I can somehow block in his units, then it's even better. Like I wonder if they sometimes bait in the units and like, oh look, you can slip through here, but then you can't leave.
Maybe that would be a big brain play from YSC. Hard to tell though if that was a mistake or not. Now getting into his robo-tech, we'll start to put the pressure onto Speed, who has been heavily delayed. All the timings are going to be way behind what we're used to in a normal game, and for the players as well. It's hard to tell where you're at in a game like this, especially as the Terran. Are you actually able to push yet? Do you have enough stuff? How much does your Protoss opponent have? Was there enough probe kills? These questions rattling around inside Speed's head as he looks towards a third base, slowly crawling out onto this pizza pie slice. And without any vultures on the map, that conundrum is even worse. You don't know what's going on the map at all right now, Speed.
Yeah, it's like the worst case scenario for Speed, pretty much. Just completely in the dark, macroing slowly. I imagine this is what a lot of Artosis games look like if you watch his stream.
Possibly, yeah. Is getting a little bit behind in the early game based on a few annoyances. This is because of Speed. Unfortunately, his own decision making to go for a 2-factory play has landed him in this situation. He's now got 4 factories, and it kind of looks like he's just gonna go all in. He doesn't have a second gas, and he's not gearing up for the late game at all.
Now it's possible that like YSC's being greedy and like isn't on full production on his gateways, and I guess he's trying to hope for that. Does manage to pull all the units out of position, dealing with these vultures to allow him to now come out with a big push and give him the best chance possible. He's almost halfway across the map by the time. Ooh, pretty good mine connections as well. This could be just what he needs to come back in this game. This is a pretty sizable force. Supplies currently even, pushing up onto these pizza slices, already pushing back and gaining space without much effort. Vultures running by the Dragoons at the front as well to flank and lay down mines in the wake of those. I think Speed might have enough to do this. Is absolutely insane.
Just gonna get a couple more vultures by into the natural, killing a whole bunch more probes, maybe coming down to lay mines on top of these gateways as well, softening up the Dragoons as they pop out. Not able to get a shot off there, but he's dragging the Dragoons all the way back into the main, and he's setting up to start to hit these gateways possibly. The position here is really good. Difficult to deal with for YSC.
That's what they call them Dragoons saying, because you drag them around like this and just abuse the Protoss player. Look at this, a beautiful push on Speed though. Needs to be careful. Here comes the shuttle and the Dragoons getting on top of this tank position that just sieged up, but he can't even get the Reaver out in time. Yeah, I don't know about this. He snipes the Reaver. Great target fire from Speed with those siege tanks, and now blocking all these Dragoons in, laying down some mines. YSC has to be so careful, but he's losing so many Dragoons to mines.
Oh, the mine connections are deadly. Speed getting into this little pocket up on the high ground that's so difficult to dislodge your opponent. Right where that tank is, the one that was just clicked, it can hit that the ramp with units coming up to rally forward. Oh my gosh, the Reaver pops up, gets a great connection, but the shuttle goes down. Looks like he's not going to be able to close on those tanks. The unsiege is perfect. Speed just backs up perfectly, dealing with that last-ditch effort. YSC taps out. I cannot believe he managed to clean it up that easily after a failed 2-factory. That was really impressive by Speed.
I mean, this is why you can't like skimp out on your production. Like, just because you're in a great position doesn't mean you can get greedy and like miss out on production cycles. He needed to keep churning out non-stop units and didn't do so, and got absolutely slapped down by Speed. Such a well-executed push from him as well.
With YSC being dispatched, we're here now in game number 2 with Hero spawning in top left. Glad to see this guy in the lineup once again. We've had so many great games over the past year from Hero. Looking back on my best of 2024 video, I have to appreciate this guy a little bit more.
Yeah, he's always been close to my heart for a very, very long time. He's been a hero for NBC Hero, all puns intended. He was on the NBC team Hero, which is hilarious, by the way, in my opinion. The Pro League team that he was on was also called Hero. But yeah, he's such a fascinating player, and never quite able to get all the way, like never quite getting that title belt. But everything kind of indicates that he's a title kind of player where he should be getting the belt at some point. It's crazy how brutal Starcraft can be. I think there's a few guys like Hero in history that never quite managed to break through the tide despite being very capable swimmers. It's just the tide is such a brutal beast.
Has there ever been a more overused gamer ID than Hero? It's just it's so worn, and everybody's got, or every game has a hero. There's so many different ones in StarCraft history, and StarCraft 2 as well has their own list of hero players. But whenever someone says hero, this is the guy I think of, Shin. Automatically.
No, I agree. This is the OG hero. The hero that we don't deserve, but we certainly do need him. Hopefully he can bring us some absolutely fantastic games today as well.
This is an interesting build from Speed, playing really out of the ordinary for a map like this. I tend to expect play like this from Speed on a match or a map like Kickback, but on Radeon this is not what I expect from him. And starting a factory already on this high ground, are we gonna see him a fake bunker at the front? Gonna draw 2 or 3 drones off the line, but they could just be transferred over and start to mine at the natural, no problem. So not gonna really cause too much of a deficit here for Hero, but there's not much of not much information being gleaned by Hero either.
Well, he semi-respected it because he saw that there was no command center in the natural for Speed. So he was like, okay, maybe there was a proxy 8 Rex or something. I have to semi-respect this just in case, you know, I can't like let this get up for free, because I can't like let a Marine just walk into this bunker, you know what I mean?
Right. Now there was no Marine coming, and getting this drone in is kind of huge. How did he get this past 2 Marines, by the way, on the ramp? We didn't get it on screen. That's kind of ridiculous. He sees that there's...
and he gets out.
Yeah, and he sees that he's still mining gas, right? So double starport follow-up. It's pretty much expected by Hero, and I don't think he's going to take much damage from this as long as he starts burrow right away.
Yeah, I think he did see that lair. I think he just barely saw the corner of that lair as that SUV died, so nothing too crazy. The sunken colony was able to be made in time. He identified that there was no expansion coming, so this is the most important thing for Hero. It would have been disastrous if he was in the bottom left. He's going to go for a vulture run by with Speed. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, he's going to try and make the Marines tank. I've seen this before.
Well, never get Speed.
Yeah, he's just going to have 2 vultures. 2 vultures are going to try to run by. The Marines are going to go first to try and draw the fire from the sunken colony, and then these 2 vultures will try to slip by behind the patches. So looks like he's going to take 2 hits on this vulture in order to get a drone kill. But these vultures were just meant to slip back behind the minerals here. They're going to be such a nuisance. So difficult to dislodge these. You really do need to wait for your mutas to pop out. It's just delaying the mining by a ton while Speed gets into his wraiths.
Yeah, I mean, he could waste lava on Lings to try and box these vultures in, but then he's behind on lava for his mutas and stuff, so there's no real easy answer to dealing with these. The surround with the drones is probably the most potential. Oh, with Burrow, actually he can not lose any drones while doing the surround with the... that's a pretty good way of dealing with that from Hero. Does have the Wraiths now shooting down here 2 Overlords of Gemini missiles, though has no anti-air to stop that, so we'll get supply blocked quite heavily. I'm not sure how he's going to navigate his way out of this.
I hope he started some Scourge and some mutas before that supply block happened. It might have been close, though. He is deeply supply blocked at this point. burrowing all of his drones to try and keep as many of them alive as possible. Cloak is on the way. There's the mutas popping out. Luckily, he did manage to get those out in time, so he will be able to drive these wraiths back. Speed gonna wait for Cloak to finish up before making any more moves. He does find this Overlord though down towards the bottom left. Will he go after that? It's tempting to go and hit that Overlord because the mutas can't really leave to go defend that. If they did go down to defend this Overlord, then possibly the wraiths could just fly in and instantly start killing drones. So yeah, it's not an easy situation for Hero to deal with right now.
Right. Yeah, you might be able to catch one of the incoming wraiths would be ideal, but you can't really guarantee anything like that happening. So usually you're kind of hedging your bets and you're kind of standing in a defensive formation to both quickly respond to the wraiths and maybe hope that you get lucky and catch one or something. But most of the time you're playing much more defensively and just waiting for a higher count of mutas before you even think about moving out.
Now, Hero has the option to just keep making mutas non-stop, get Overlord speed, and try to end this game. He hasn't added on too many more drones. He hasn't taken a third base either. So we're not entirely sure. There's the drone heading out down towards bottom left. If he grabs a third, then there's a possibility he just wants to transition and, you know, build up into a more normalized game state. But these wraiths are going to fly in. 6 of them start to gun down some drones and overlords. Let's see how many he can get. 1 overlord, 2 overlord, 3 overlord, and a drone. The wraiths are going to start to hit this as soon as the overlord's in range. But the wraiths are faster than the overlord, so he will be able to escape for now. Good micro here by Speed, but he's got to be wary. Another overlord coming down. He's going to start to lose wraiths here. This is some good play by Hero, getting that damage in. Hard to take out any of these mutas. They're in such a massive stack. There's only 6 wraiths here. Now probably only about 4 left over. 4 wraiths remain. Hero, I don't know if he's going to pull the trigger or not. He's actually
he knows that the energy's dry. He knows that the energy's dry on those wraiths. He's just waiting a little bit longer and hoping that it runs out. But only one of them ran out at that state at the end. Now they're really low on energy. So he will probably try and hunt these down now, knowing that they at least 2 or 3 of them won't be able to recloak.
That's right, Scourge spreading out everywhere. Mutas staying kind of half map, in the middle of the map, waiting for these wraiths to start heading back. It's a long time to just be doing nothing though. Speed is using this opportunity to start to build up more turrets to get his defenses online so that he can possibly take this natural. And meanwhile, Hero's just kind of flying around aimlessly looking for these wraiths that are hidden out on the map.
Speed wants him to come and hunt these down. Speed wants him to hunt these down so we can then go in and start one-shotting drones in the natural. But it looks like Hero's like not going to do either of those things, and we'll get probably punished now because he's going to lose a few drones anyway, and might not even find these wraiths that are now going to be making its way into the main base. So now this is probably the worst-case scenario for Hero. He's going to be chasing down these wraiths while these ones come into the main base.
Well, they can't get too many kills. The burrow coming in clutch there, keeping a lot of those drones alive. Wraiths still flying around. This is very reminiscent of Light, the way that Light used to play 2-port Wraith, by flying around with multiple groups of Wraiths and just keeping the Zerg player guessing. Looks like he loses 1 Wraith there, 2 a Scourge, and a couple of Mutilus shots. But the third base is now up for Hero down in the bottom left. He has +1 armor on his mutas, and I don't see any sort of transition from Speed. He's continuing to build wraiths. He doesn't have a huge amount of turrets at the natural, only 2 turrets. That's not going to be enough. I think that Hero just has too much.
Maybe, yeah, I think Hero might just win it, unless the Wraith micro is impeccable. These turrets are nowhere near in good position to protect the mining as well, so I don't even know why he's bothering to try and mine right now. He's just going to lose SEVs. Yeah, this is really rough for Speed.
Speed is getting manhandled by the Wraiths that are just running forward and diving on top of these turrets, jumping on the Wraiths whenever they can and dealing a ton of damage. Look at how low all of these Wraiths are. 1 Vulture makes it down to the bottom left. try and harass that base, but yeah, there's nothing he can do.
I have no idea why he was so greedy and didn't make more turrets there. If he just makes like literally like 2 more turrets in that natural expansion closer to the mineral line, and then the SCVs are just waiting for repair, he's fine. I have no idea why he didn't make more turrets.
Yeah, that's strange. You really wanted to get that next transition into barracks going. You wanted to get the marine count up, but
Being a little bit too greedy, maybe.
Yeah, needed a bit more time with the transition. Maybe keeping the wraiths out on the map and continuing to fly around would have been a better option, but he'd been doing it for so long. Those wraiths were getting lower and lower and running out of energy as well, so he had to pull back eventually. Didn't take into account a big counterattack from Hero and gets overwhelmed. Now Hero gonna move forward with speed eliminated already. It's looking like a good week for Zerg. Soul Key still in the background. Who can take him out? I know last week Best managed to make that happen, but I don't know. It's possible, right? We've seen the boss bleed, right? We've seen the beast can be beaten, but he's still lurking in the background this week. Let's see who ends up taking on Soul Key, or who goes up against Hero next. Well, I'm not one to usually complain about two-port Wraith play, or players bringing out the two-port Wraith style. I really do enjoy watching strong players try to make that work, but can't help but feel a little bit disappointed we didn't get to see Speed do his thing against Hero. The dropship style and a Marine Medic that he's so well known for. Now we're going to be watching Mini versus Hero on Minstrel. This actually should be a great match. If Mini's up to his old tricks and pulling out something interesting, Hero's just gonna have to deal with whatever Mini has in store.
At the minute, he's trying to sell Hero that he's doing Gateway first rather than Forge first, because he's sending the probe around the long way, so he doesn't see the probe scout timing, so he'll assume it's Gateway first rather than Forge first, or Nexus first at least.
This is gonna work out great for Mini because Hero has yet to throw down his spawning pool. Oh, he's not going to block the natural. Okay.
Interesting.
Doesn't block the natural.
Yeah. Well, I guess he didn't technically like confirm another overlord or anything, so he could be 9 pool. I guess he's worried. He has to check for that. He has to like know there's no early pool coming because he's not made a forge or anything yet, so he has to know that. He wants to see if he can get away with the Nexus or not.
Yeah, he's going to get away with that Nexus for sure now. And it looks like Hero might get cheeky. No. He sent out the drone pretty early on, and I was starting to think that he might go for third hatch before pool. That seems like that's not going to be the case. Drops his pool over at the natural, and he's sending his drone all the way to top right, maybe? Where's this going? Where's he going to take that third base?
I think he's just running it and hiding it because he's not going to be able to make a hatchery for a while, so he's just going to hide it because he knows the probe will check.
A little bit interesting him sending this drone out so early though to the third base. He wasn't going to be able to afford that unless he was going for, you know, before pool.
Well, he could be doing a 973 bus and hiding the hatchery here at this like mineral only base, and then like using the faster rally to do a timing attack. It's also possible.
That would be interesting. We haven't really seen that on this map at all. And it seems like he's actually going to bring the drone back to the third now to take that just a little bit later after the gas and after getting a few lings out. Interesting choice from Hero. This is a little bit slow, the third hatchery, so he's going to have a little bit less larva, which might mean that he's going to forego doing some sort of 3-hatch Hydra, and yeah, he's going to start his lair.
Yeah, makes sense. Against 12 Nexus especially, it's very hard to punish that with a bust usually. Most of the time you're just playing from behind.
He's going to try to match Mini's macro with a very fast tech play, try to get that layer out as quickly as possible. Not prioritizing, you know, catching up in macro as much as he wants to get into this tech play. What is he going to bring out? I think it's going to be mutas, which is the typical way that Zergs bring themselves back into games that they're in a deficit versus Protoss.
Yeah, Mutalisks can be a big tempo swing, especially sniping High Templars, so that then the Hydras can come in, and without the Sonic Storm AoE, you can't deal with the DPS of the Hydras, and they just melt through your army. So that can be the ticket to come back in a game like this. Usually, though, you do have to create an opportunity to do so, like sniping Corsairs with a Scourge and hoping they don't remake those Corsairs before you even get into a position to start to make a play like that.
Mini is one of those guys who's well known for doing things like a crazy 2-star Stargate build. It doesn't seem like he's going to do that now. He's continued to keep this probe alive for a very long time. Look at how much health is still on that. He's done a great job of keeping it alive and moving. It will finally be taken out, and these Zealots are going to head home as well. More Lings popping out. So he realizes those Zealots are missing from the natural. But Mini's not going to put on too much pressure. Hydra then after the Spire, but it's back in the main base. This is a little bit confusing. Wonder what's
that
going
makes
on.
it look like he's gonna. This looks like the 2-hatch Muta into 4-hatch Hydra play, but done in a different way. So it looks like the same thought process. So it looks like a pre-storm Hydra bust will be the option from Hero potentially.
Just 4 hatcheries. This is going to be a very tight timing. Okay. The 5th hatchery starts over there at the 3rd base. 2nd gas as well. This is a very unorthodox way of playing.
The only other thing it could be with this early 2nd gas is maybe rush into lurkers, or at least like trying to get into lurker tech faster so he can be more defensive. I don't know. I'm very confused by this setup from Hero. Maybe he's just doing his own micro adjustments to deal with the 12 Nexus timings of Mini, and knowing that it's Mini and what he likes to go for, maybe.
Definitely has enough Lings to wipe out this Zealot force, easily going to overwhelm this little expeditionary attack from Mini. And the Scourge are going to push back Corsairs as well. Hydralisk Den done for some time, and I'm very curious to see if he's going to get Lurker earlier, or is he going to try and commit to some mutas?
Honestly, like, he does know Mini's style, and Mini has gone for this sort of like 2-gate tech-heavy style after the 12 Nexus. Like, he rushed into this Templar Archives after getting these just 2 gateways worth of production. So it looks like Hero's actually like read the situation really well, and has actually like done a lot of micro adjustments to the build order of Mini, and is trying to set himself up nicely. This DT is going to be the critical thing, though. Can he get in here and kill all these drones with this DT? At the very least, deny mining would be great. He's body blocking a little bit with the Hydralisks there, hoping for an Overlord to finish in just a few seconds. I think this egg in the top is an Overlord.
There's an Overlord coming from the 4th base. Ooh, can he actually get this kill? Does pick that off. Another Overlord making its way in from the natural, helping out. Prevent those DTs from sneaking away. So far, a pretty decent hold, but a few drones did end up falling. Is that going to be enough of a hiccup in Hero's macro to allow Mini an opportunity to attack? Seems like he's just building up his gateway count now. Hydra's coming across the map. It's actually going to be Mini who's being attacked. He's already got cannons on the way, though. With 5 cannons in such an early Templar Archives, he should have Storm in time.
Yeah, he could have actually targeted these DTs, but he's ignored them. He's just running past them. Now I think he might turn around and start to fight them. He could have killed both of them really quickly, but even now, not going to be getting the second one, just barely. And DT's now coming again into the 3rd base to get on top of these drones. A lot of nuisance being caused. 2 Hero has responded to it, but he's still losing a lot of drones back at home. Storm will be ready in just a few ticks here from Mini. He's done a very quick tech-heavy build to try and have a Storm at the critical timing at this 8-minute junction that Hero was trying to set up for, and is not able to do anything at the moment because he's just constantly losing drones to these Dark Templar plays of Mini.
This is a convoluted way of going about bringing himself back as a Zerg player. I am quite confused about Hero's play overall. He took a risk, he tried something different, and it doesn't seem to have worked out very well. He's lost so many drones. The attack in was too late. The tech was too fast. The DT slowed everything down and killed a lot of his economy. Now he's going to have to sit here and re-macro drones while Mini prepares for his push out, which is going to be incredibly hard to stop.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. If Hero just attack moved with the Hydras in the center earlier, they would have killed those two DTs, and this game would look a little bit different. But because he didn't do that, now like one of the DTs slipped out, and it started causing a panic in his head of like having to chase multiple DTs down. It's really starting to fluster him and made it so he couldn't really get anything done. And now Mini coming on this top lane of some more Zealots. They might have their speed finishing up soon as well. I don't know if he's got enough to just bowl over Hero right now, but this certainly will cause frustration because you have to pull back to deal with these Zealots here while the more additional Zealots are coming down the middle lane.
Yeah, there's no sunken colonies to help out with the defense either. One Zealot going to be left in the mineral line to deal some extra damage. Like you said, this secondary force of Zealots could come up and just flank the army. Oh, half of the Hydras were actually left in the naturals, so he's ready for this, and he will push it away successfully. Hero doing a good job handling this attack, at least.
Yeah. He definitely was falling apart before, but it seems like he's definitely composed still and is, executing well, deflecting and anticipating that very nicely. Hero is the kind of guy where he doesn't get psychologically flustered too much. Like, he will stay in the game mentally for the most part, so he should still play a relatively okay game from here on, hopefully.
I was expecting this. The Mutalisk coming out now. Looks like the unfortunately the rally point got set all the way across the map, and the Muta popping out kind of tips the hand to Mini. He's gonna be ready for this, at least expecting it.
Yeah.
With only one Corsair, I don't know if he can save these Templar, though. It'll be up to Hero to dodge the storms and snipe down as many Templar as he can to take this next fight. If he kills every Templar, I give him a good shot. But if he doesn't, I think that Mini will be able to bowl him over completely.
Ooh, he's going to try and come in to get a snipe. Doesn't able to do so, though. Does manage to bait one of the Corsairs down and get two pretty good Psionic Storms. Does take out his own Corsair, but honestly, those Mutas are already softened up quite a lot. Coming back in on the exit. And now, like, 2 High Templars have been sniped. That's pretty good. They are dangerously low on HP, these Mutas, but he should just barely have enough HP on them to come in here and get the last remaining 2.
Ooh, that storm in the center. Oh my gosh. He was controlling the Mutas during that fight and lost a massive clump of Hydras. This is so hard to deal with as a Zerg player. Trying to control Mutas and Hydras at the same time. You really do need to pull everything back while you're while you're controlling one of these groups. You have to pull the rest of your army back, but Hero allows like 8 Hydras to go down because of that one storm. He did snipe all the Templar, though. That is something. Lost his Mutas, sniped the Templar. He can't really follow it up, though.
Yeah, he won't be able to have a lot of storms available to him for some time now, but the main issue is that we can't really build up a critical mass of Hydras to go and punish either, so Mini just will be defensive, set up this third base here at his natural third. Hero now might start to go for an attack, but it might be a little bit too late. We have such a big meatiness to the main infantry force of Mini, even though there's not much storms available. This DT being a little bit annoying, dragging the army around of Hero as well, buying even more precious seconds for him to build out more and more macro cycles and get more of these storms online.
Are we going to see another commitment to Mutas? I think that might be a good idea, considering. Oh, 2 snipes on 2 Templar. 3 Templar just went down.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, you can throw the game this way. This is really dangerous. Yeah, that's a big gift right there. That's just like tying up the power scale exponentially. He needs to be so careful. If he does like that kind of thing again, Hero might just take us a win from him.
I don't think you get more than 1 gift like that from Mini. He's not one to be handing out presents to his opponents willy-nilly, and Hero, he's got to count his blessings while he pushes in with these Hydras, and thanks his lucky stars, he doesn't have many storms to deal with, but he's sitting here 3 base versus 3 base, and the supply is looking insanely high in favor of Mini. This is going to be a very hard fight, and if he doesn't win it with a resounding victory and maybe even kill that base of Minis, the 3rd, he's probably going to end up losing this game. Here comes the push. There's 2 Templar in there. Mutas just popped. A round of Mutas just popped, but it might be too late. Hydras take a big storm, but the Zealots eat a lot of it. 1 more storm in the back line. Pretty decent dodge. No, he lets the Hydras come back in, and a lot of them get cleaned up. Another round of Zealots making its way over towards this mineral line. Things are looking rough for Hero as more drones fall at this 3rd base.
Yeah, it's not like the worst case scenario though for Hero. He has got this block of mutas now hammering on the retreating Zealots. If he can get some more High Templar snipes, it will be absolutely huge. Maybe he can go on a counterattack. He was trying to get a tactical snipe on the gas just to limit the gas of Mini, slowing down from 900 to 600 gas a minute would be ideal. If he can come up this top lane and get a snipe on that gas, that'd be great. And getting this High Templar here would be huge.
Good dodge there. Gonna be able to snipe that Templar. 2 more moving through the middle of the map, but they're not being escorted properly. Let's see if Hero can snipe these as well and surround this whole army. There's a lot of pathways on Minstrel for the Protoss player to escape from.
Yeah,
it also means...
Yeah,
go ahead.
Go on. I was gonna say, like, another force is getting like scouted by Hero. I mean, honestly, Hero could turn this game around. It's just going to be very difficult if he doesn't keep expanding and slowing Mini down. And I don't know, like, I'm a little bit worried for Hero.
Oh, I'm very worried for Hero, sitting here still on 3 bases. Battle Zerg. He's been even for a while, and the 4th base just came up, so now he's behind on bases. That is never a good sign. This is a horrible situation to be in, and Hero is, I think, gearing up for just 1 massive push, and that's going to seal his fate in this game.
I think you might be right, Sam. I mean, I don't want you to be right, but it does seem like that might be the case. Now going to be coming on this top lane again. See if he can get a snipe on this gas at the very least would be huge to limit the gas potential of the Protoss player. Also sniping High Templars with the mutas, but not able to really get too many of them. Pretty good defensive positions from those Dragoons. Still hasn't been able to snipe this gas. Okay, finally gets the gas. At what cost though? Really crazy stuff we're seeing. Attritional warfare from both sides, but Mini getting the better end of the stick, it seems.
Mini getting some great storms despite losing so many to these mutas. That 1 Templar surviving on 3 HP is gonna haunt Hero. Is bringing his Hydras forward, trying to snipe a cannon. Oh my goodness, so many kills on that 1 storm, from that 1 storm on all these Hydras. That is so painful to watch. This is starting to look like one of my games, shouldn't. So many Hydras dying to storm all this game. My goodness, there's a good dodge, but another storm comes out, immediately wrecks every single Hydra there, but there's a lot going on. This base is being attacked. He's trying to break through. Zealots come up though, and with the full might of the Protoss army pushing this back, I don't think there's any hope left for Hero.
I mean, Hero is trying to play maneuver warfare against an attritional warfare game state, and he's just coming up short. GG has to be called. Hero taps out. I'm not surprised at all. We're going to be seeing either light or sack going up against Mini next.
This might be one of the last times we cast a game on Kickback Shun. Mini versus Sock this game, and we've got vertical spawns. One thing I've been seeing a lot from players on the ladder, from my ladder series, is Terran players rushing and trying to get early wins against Protoss on this map. Maybe they're struggling to take games the later that they go, and doing things like 2 racks or 2 factories seems to be their solution.
Well, it makes sense that you're doing that because you're getting mined out so much quicker here on this map. So you can't just sit back on your 3 bases as Terran. You're really pressured to take a 4th, and you don't have an easy 4th to take. And this is the problem. It's not like those other maps where it's like you can sometimes just stay on 3 bases and macro up like crazy and then take a 4th and not worry about it too much. You don't really have the same luxury. So the Protoss player can just play greedy and aggressive with his own expansions, while you as the Terran player are kind of stifled. So yeah, I think going for a more aggressive technical style to try and win with a timing attack early on is probably a more optimal way of playing TVP here.
It makes sense. Mini going for a gateway into a simulator, not taking Nexus first or anything like that. Whereas Sock gonna opt for a very fast factory, getting that gas online as quickly as possible while scouting in the correct direction. Gonna find Mini first, even though he sent out his scout second. Things are looking pretty good for Sock so far, and we are probably gonna see a longer game unless Sock wants to pull out some like 2 factory play right off the bat here.
Yeah, he's pulling SCVs off of that gas, just leaving 1 inside, which is indicative of definitely not a second factory here, but yeah, but much more likely just a very standard 1 factory expand with an add-on and after a vulture, nothing too crazy from him. Yeah, so I think we might see a pretty normal game, although against someone like Mini, he's going to be putting a lot of pressure with this Zealot and Probe, trying to delay this factory, pulling the Marines out of position, then trying to get on top of them. If he can get 2 connections with a particle beam, he can then just 2-shot with the SCV, being a little bit lazy with his probe control at the moment, but coming back in again, trying to do the same technique of forcing the Marines out of position after going for the SCVs. But getting a bit unlucky on the juggles of the building animation right now. A bit more of a flash SCV rather than a Tosis SCV. Getting the finishing up that factory now, and looking okay is Sark, but does lose a few SCVs.
Oh, 1 SCV goes down in the mineral line. He's gonna try and pick off another one if he can. The placement on this barracks feels a little bit off. He can actually walk the... I think he can walk the Zealot through there? No, he can't. Okay, that makes sense. You can't quite get the Zealot through there, and there's a little bit more space for Sock to maneuver. A Robo is coming up. 1 base Robo from Mini. He's going to do something really wacky now.
Yeah, I'm curious. Are we going to be seeing like just like a straight up elevator, or are we going to be seeing like a DT drop here, or just, you know, really fast Reaver play and just get, I don't know. We could be, ooh, just try and get the block on that SCV, and we'll stop this scout being executed. So we'll have no idea what's coming. There's a vulture making its way downtown, but that shouldn't also figure out too much besides the fact that there's 2 Dragoons sitting out here, and that's already kind of a given.
It's wild to me that Mini wouldn't build the second that extra pylon in the wall just to make sure that nothing gets in. That was kind of close. Sock needs to not find out about this. Whoa, a starport starts. Was he planning to go
he
for
wants to do
a
his own
vulture
drop? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and this is gonna be crazy. I wonder how this lines up. I mean, does that allow him to maybe produce a Wraith later on to maybe deal with that shuttle play? Who knows?
A Wraith would be amazing in this situation. The Robo is definitely going to be used to make a shuttle, and if that shuttle gets picked off, it's going to shut down whatever Mini is planning to go for. I don't see any tech though so far. Mini, is he just making just a shuttle? Because I don't even see the robotic support bay or any sort of DT tech.
That's why I thought it was just for maybe an elevator play, just observer an elevator. So that there'll be an observer first, and maybe a shuttle made so that you can elevate to Dragoons into this third that's not taken, and surprise Sark that way maybe. I don't know.
Okay, so this is actually kind of interesting. Sock didn't build a bunker because he thought that he was going to be able to rely on these mines a lot longer, and Mini is just going to move straight across the map with a bunch of Dragoons and an observer, and the bunker is just barely gonna finish in time. It looks like bunker is so close. There we go. He gets in. He does get in, and now he can repair this bunker. He's got 3 SCVs to block. More SCVs are going to be pulled. I think this has been held successfully by Sock. This is a good, quick reaction, and a vulture gets in. Oh my goodness, a vulture getting in is kind of crazy. It looks like the probes will deal with that because Sock is a little bit too busy dealing with this attack at his front to pay full attention to that. But this is a very nice hold from Sock overall.
Yeah, unfortunately, Sark doesn't have the same kind of task switching as some of these other guys. He's a very solid player, really good at the early game defense, but not so much in terms of switching between doing 2 different things at once. So he definitely can't handle microing that vulture and defending back at home. Now another vulture though slipping in. Maybe this one can get something done. Probe coming off the line to even get a block off, not able to do so. This one might not even get 2 kills, so only 1 kill apiece. Dropship now making its way downtown. We'll also see this robo, but the robo is in a good position to spot for this, so we'll have a pretty good reaction time to this dropship coming in.
Double expansion from Mini after this kind of weird opener from him. I think he's put himself into a pretty serious deficit overall with this play. I don't know if he's going to make a shuttle or what after this. It's just some sort of like awkward timing that he was expecting Sock not to have the bunker, and he was expecting him to rely completely on mines. He was right, but he didn't account for how long it was going to take to walk across the map, and that Sock would just be able to finish that bunker before he arrives there. So things are going to get weird now. Mini with the double expansion is going to try to catch up, but I think Sock in a firm lead.
Yeah, no, I think Sock is feeling very good about his position right now. There's not really much Mini can do to punish him besides expand himself, which is what he is doing. But, you know, Sock was smart enough to at least lay a mine here, so we'll slow down this expansion by a few precious seconds and also spot the timing of that critically. Sark now will know that, okay, maybe I can, you know, build up enough tanks to go for a push soon, because it's possible that he'll commit very heavily into being greedy right now, or he could just sit back and macro up really powerfully on these 3 bases.
So Sock has that 3rd base up already. That is wild. He is so far ahead in terms of this macro game. I would love to see how many SCVs he's got in comparison to the probe count. He's only on 1 factory. He's been able to do all of this off of 1 factory, Shun, and he went up against a 1 base build to start off. That is crazy. I mean, this is like a golden opportunity for Sock. If he manages to lose this game, I don't know what to say.
Right. Yeah, no, I would really like to see Sock actually have a good game against Mini here. If he can take out Mini, that'd be an impressive showing and a great re-debuting of the stage. It's been some time before he's had a chance to play in KCM. He kind of dropped off the radar a little bit for a while there. Certainly a very capable player, very strong macro, good early game defense. Would be nice to see more from him. Hopefully he can do it and go all the way here. We see 5 factories being the choice now, getting a lot of units quickly.
Yeah, I've seen like 7 factory play off of these 3 bases. A lot of Terran players opt to go for that style. He already has the starport down, but I'm wondering if he will end up going into a science facility here. One thing to note is, like you said earlier, those bases are going to run out quite quickly, and getting into the science facility, that's a play that's going to give you paid dividends. So there it is, paid dividends. It's going to be a while. It's going to be a long time before that actually pays off with the +2. And by the time you get +2 online, you're already in a situation where you kind of desperately need a 4th and 5th base as those first 2 expansions are running out.
Well, there's 2 ways of thinking. Terran players used to go like 5 factory into 4th base, but then they realized like Protoss players are too good these days, so like 7 factory into 4 base makes more sense, and that is the safer way of playing. And if you get 7 factory and science facility, you're not, the only weakness is the economy. So as long as you know, execute well and move out and can still establish your 4th base later on, you're fine. So this is like the best of all worlds if you can somehow still take a 4th base with it.
Yeah, that's the really big problem, right? Is that you're going to have this massive army and a great push with probably +2 being finished as you're getting close to like 160 supply. But if you fail that push, both your 2, you know, 2nd and 3rd base mine out, and you're just kind of dead in the water. You have to make that push work. It is 100% necessary.
Yeah. Hopefully he can make a good effort of doing that. Scans and sees how many gateway count there is. He doesn't know the exact amount, but he probably feels really confident that he's going to have way more juice squeezed out of his orange in this situation, and we'll probably pull the trigger in just a moment here and go for a big push on this vertical access, and maybe try and even go for a checkmate move, clearing out the observers before he does that to make sure he obfuscates the push timing and exactly how the army is coming out.
I love it. I love to see Terran players mix something like this in. Single science vessel with 2 wraiths is such an awesome tool for dealing with observers. You can just hunt down every observer and make sure that Mini is completely blind to where your push is moving and when you're going to be unsieging your tanks. It's awesome. At the same time, could be useful in dealing with shuttles flying in, like these 2 that are going to be hitting this 3rd base. Great pull from Sock, and immediately going to bring up these 2 wraiths to deal with this shuttle. Both shuttles are now gone, so the Reavers are dead in the water. There's nowhere they can go. Oh my god, that's a lot of kills. Vultures just went down there, but he should be able to save this armor, and he should be able to clear this out without too much more trouble.
I actually don't think he's going to save the armory, because he can target fire the armory with a scarab to finish it off, unfortunately. So we'll be taking that out. It's a bit of a nightmare. Hopefully that was his armor and not his weapons upgrade. Usually Terran players will split those apart. I imagine he would be smart enough to take the weapons upgrade in the main base, but who knows? Maybe he didn't. You never know.
It's a bit of an awkward place to put that armory, but it is what it is. Mini with a great snipe there to slow things down for Sock, and possibly made that investment into science facility early on completely worthless. 4th base going to start now for Sock. Up at the 12 o'clock. He's got a very good supply. With the lead that he started this game with, he is taking a 4th base with a lot of confidence and pushing out at the same time. I don't know about this. That's not that many tanks, and the storms are insane.
Yeah, it finally gets a D-Matrix down, but at what cost? Mini manages to snipe those low HP tanks in the back line a little bit as well. There is a lot more remaining for Sark, though. This is the thing. If Sark can somehow find the confidence to regather himself and go full steam ahead and push the issue, eventually he'll catch Mini in one of these counterattack options, and Mini won't be able to deal with the follow-up. But he has to be careful when he decides to go for that. He needs to very carefully weigh the power scale and realize when it's a good time to try and bite back at Mini. For the time being, he's playing much more defensive and just getting this 12 o'clock set up.
He's going to be holding that 12 o'clock, and I don't think that Mini's ready to battle for that just yet. He's busy setting up more bases in the bottom left and getting another rally point going. He has a lot of shuttles, though. A lot of shuttles. Maybe he's going to wait for another couple of rounds of Zealots so that he maxes out and then goes for an attack. That's probably going to be a reasonable option here for Mini. I don't see him diving straight into the main, and then as I say it, here we go. Just jumping on top of this high ground. He's going to force all the SCVs away. Great storm there. Oh my goodness, amazing storms there, being aided by the placement of that factory. 2 more storms going to be landed over at this natural, but it seems like Sock has the answer for that. 1 Wraith goes down, but the other is going to be able to clear out that shuttle.
Yeah, honestly, pretty impressive stuff. Denying mining time and killing a lot of SCVs is great, and sandbagging the army and pinning it in position into the main base while he's now maneuvering around on the western flank, seeing if he can maybe come in there and do anything on that side of things. I don't know how well defended it is over there, so I'm not sure if he can come in on the west, but he's going to go for it and see anyway.
Coming in with a pretty large force. Doesn't have a ton of zealots though, and the mines plus turrets are really going to slow things down. I love it when Terran players set up minefields like this with a one turret in the middle. It's pretty rare that we get maps where there's a lot of buildable terrain out on the map, but whenever there is, that's such a good setup to have as a Terran.
Well, have you noticed how map makers have started like just then? There's like little squares where you can build turrets set up on maps like this, where you can do those setups. So map makers are trying to help Terran players do it. Now Minimate coming back in with more pressure with these shuttles, and now look at the Vultures coming in though, sniping some High Templars. 4 just went down. That's so much Sonic Storm that just evaporated from the utility arsenal of Mini, desperately trying to wrap around this army from the west of that auxiliary force that was out on the map. Hopefully he can get down here in time and get on top of these tanks, desperately trying to hold off with these shuttles and reavers against this massive tank force that's shuffling down to the rally point of Mini currently.
Well, Sokka's had enough. He's on the attack, full on breaking in towards this natural. He's rallying everything forward. Mini's going to turn around though and head up towards 12 o'clock. Can Sok keep this push going? Prevent any big storms from landing on his units while stopping this counterattack at the same time. He's pushing forward really aggressively. The Templar are just coming out and dying immediately, and oh, it looks like a big mine connection on a bunch of these Dragoons is going to shut down Mini's counterattack. He's headed back down the map now, Shin. He can't even try to stop that 12 o'clock any longer.
Wow. I mean, he's even putting pressure on this 6 o'clock. I'm not even sure there's enough Dragoons to pressure. He's got some Vultures to screen for those tanks. He will even come down and kill this 6 o'clock quite quickly as well. This is an absolute insane push from Sark. He's playing exceptionally well and is starting to put a real stranglehold on Mini, who's now desperate and trying to come out with a counterattack. 3 shuttles coming into the natural expansion of Sark to put on some pressure. I think some SCVs there though, like he's not really taking much damage from this counter-attack of Mini. Meanwhile, Sark is getting on top of his gateways, so I don't even know how Mini's gonna get any value and compensation from coming up, and he needs to get into this 12 o'clock base and kill that, but he can't do so. 2 tanks and a good flooding of mines will prevent that. Beautiful play from Sark, covering his flanks and doing maximum damage with his own push.
This is great by Sok, splitting up his army perfectly. Mini in full desperation mode, sending out a ton of shuttles to go and do something out on the map. Looks like he may want to go for 12 o'clock and just try to dump all these units on top of that, but there are Goliaths at play. And they're going to take out one of the shuttles before he can even drop anything there. Hopefully that wasn't the shuttle with the storms in it. There goes the Reaver. And GG is called. Mini gets taken down. It was a tough position from the very start. A weird build from Mini to go for a robo on one base, don't you think?
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a little bit weird. It seemed like Sark had his number though. Maybe Mini knew that Sark was like a bit of a macro monster and he had to be careful and was trying to, do a little bit of a finesse, and just didn't pay off. Like Sark just read him perfectly and dealt with him.
Very nice to see Sark doing well in the KCM once again. Is now going up against Queen. Cross map on Deja Vu.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had him, but it's nice to see him back in performing. Even if he loses now, he's had a good showing. Taking out a caliber of players such as Mini is definitely a very strong showing indeed. And TVP usually can be quite hard for the lower echelon Terran players to do so well in.
I think that Sok had a very good reaction to what Mini was doing. Sometimes it can be extremely hard to know exactly what needs to be done the moment that you scout what's happening. You need to make the right moves, and Sok, he saw those Dragons moving out and killing off the mines without, you know, he noticed that there must be an observer. He immediately canceled his factory and started a bunker, and that just turned out to be exactly the right call for the situation. The follow-up play was great as well. But now, with Queen starting out 12 hatch and a wall from Sock, it's not like he's going to get some sort of massive early advantage in this game. He's going to have to take on Queen kind of head-to-head here. Let's see if he's still able to do so.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tricky matchup. Someone like Queen might not be performing at his absolute A game, but a very monstrous player nonetheless. So his Mutalist micro, for example, very potent. Sark will have to make a decision. Do I want to play more like light and cut SCV production and maybe get into like eight barracks early on and go for more production style based combat, or do we, you know, keep those SCVs churning out and produce Marines on a much smaller count of barracks at, like, you know, 5 or so? You kind of have to make that decision as a Terran player, what kind of style you want to go for. Generally speaking, this matchup is very timing attack based in terms of the victory percentage for Terran. So the highest win percent is in that mid-game timing window way of playing. So usually you see players like Light a little bit more successful than not.
I would say that that's probably the best way to play, especially if you're not confident in the late game. TVZ, like if you're not capable of, you know, quickly getting out base number 3 and 4 and transitioning to battle cruisers and macroing off of 10 barracks, that sort of thing. Whoa, a factory. Okay, factory on the way already. Sock's gonna do something interesting off of this 1 Rex fast expand. Not gonna be our typical game where you get into, like you said, 35 SCVs and just pump out a huge amount of Marines.
Right, at the very least we'll see some kind of 1-1-1 play, maybe a fast Valkyrie build here. It's hard to say for sure because it could be such a wide array of things, including just, you know, straight up mech play. So we'll have to wait and see what Sark wants to go for here. I'm curious if this is a 1-1-1 play, a bit more tech heavy, or if it will be a straight up macro build.
I doubt this is going to be a mech play. Usually you wouldn't see the Terran player place their factory in the natural if they want to put down, you know, 3 factories early on, or even just 2 factories. So this is likely going to be the ladder, the Valkyrie style, and he may be looking to, you know, get sneak 3 vultures out and get early speed, and then follow up with the Valkyrie to save himself from the counter attack, which will likely be coming from Queen quite quickly.
That would be more my original hunch, emotional reaction to seeing this would be, yeah, a much more 1-1-1 kind of style where he's doing a lot more pressure orientated, low unit count though, so maybe quite flimsy and need to be careful. Queen, if he identifies this, could just bowl him over with some critical mass of Mutaling, for example.
It seems like a strange timing that we're seeing. I don't see an armory. I don't know if you might have spotted an armory somewhere there, but Sock has
Wait, did he not make an armory in the bottom right?
Maybe
I missed
it was just off screen, or maybe it was underneath the tab there, the unit tab. But if he has one, then I guess his Valkyrie will just be starting now. His turrets are on the way. Speed is going to be done here in a moment. It is going to be that 3 vulture run by. He's going to sneak them out on the low part of this. Yeah, he's just barely going to sneak them out on the map. Okay. This could actually deal insane damage to Queen. Like, this could actually kill every drone. Oh, can you see that? No, just barely. He can't. That's so crazy that he's not able to see this.
Yeah, he could do a lot of damage to Queen now. This is insane. There's the Valkyrie. Definitely did have that armory in the bottom right. I did see it. It's only 3 links. Maybe he can target fire these down. The drones come off the line. He's losing lots of, at least 4 maybe drones to these vultures. It's quite a big critical damage already. Tries to get the links on the ramp to get some further damage. Can't do so. So instead is going to exit, maybe try and look for this 3rd base or come in later. Just knowing that these vultures are out on the ramp map is annoying. annoying for Queen to have to worry about them. Might be able to put some pressure onto at least this other expansion, or do another run by in a moment here.
Interesting. Well, that did a fair amount of damage, and Sok is going to get into a huge number of Valkyries. So what kind of concerns me for Queen's position is that after losing a bunch of drones, he's going to even lose more, jumping back into the natural, going to go after some more drones. The Scourge are looking to connect on some of these Valkyries. There's only 2 right now, but drawing the attention of Queen with this Vulture means that those mutas are not going to commit into this main base, and that Valkyrie number is going to continue to grow. Oh boy, running right in here. Can he actually get the Valkyrie? Oh, the Valkyrie's gonna pull out just in time, and that Scourge will end up dying. Trying to get the flick shot there. Looks like he will get it. 1 hit from one of those Scourge, but oh, he is gonna get the. No, why is he let them go? What is it? Sok, what are you doing?
I don't know what he's doing there. Missed micro for sure, though. Does manage to get the repair on that turret, keeping it up, which is critical. Needs 1 zoning turret and at least 1 or 2 Valkyries here, and he can hold. Some Valkyries were targeted down, though, so Queen is still in this game. Killing the first few Valkyries is like gold dust, so Queen has avoided complete disaster, but he's still taking a lot of economic damage to the probing of Sok's well-executed Vulture counterattacks. Needs to be careful still. Queen very low on drone count, so not the highest of saturations and economy to work with. Sok will run away with the game in the macro sense, but Queen still has something to play for now that there won't be a crazy amount of Valkyries just killing him early on. But now 3 Valkyries before finishing, he still has to worry about Sok pushing out soon.
Well, Sok's just going to sit back for now with 3 Valkyries. He's trying to get that shot off. Oh, will he be able to get it? He kills all of the Scourge, and now the mutas have to run. Gonna get some big damage onto these units, but can he actually get the connection? Oh, it's so close. The Scourge just barely not able to connect.
Yeah, nice control. Gonna slide away and get some more Scourge as well. Coming back in with more and more Vultures. He's just been an absolute nuisance this entire game.
And another kill, and another kill. Oh, barely not able to get that
Khaled,
one.
Man.
Marine count is very low for Sok, so it's going to take him some time to build up to a move out. Queen's Nest on the way for Queen, and a Hydra Den is now done, helping to block a little bit. More Vultures from flying into that main, or into that natural, and dealing more damage. 5 Valks are done, and it's possible now for Sok to push out, but I don't think he quite has the Marine count that he's looking for.
Right, he doesn't have a big force of Marines, unfortunately. He will try and trickle out more and more of those, but he will have a very high count of Valkyries. He doesn't necessarily need to kill Queen of a Marine bust. He could just go for a tactical Overlord snipe with the Valkyries once he pushes all the way across the map. That could also be a great gambit to go for, just killing as many Overlords as possible, putting Queen into a supply block and doing a bit of a technical checkmate maneuver, utilizing the air superiority. Queen, though, coming back into the main base with some Muta Scourge, hunting for the bow and the Valkyries. Gets on top of the Valkyries with quite a lot of Scourge. 3 Valkyries go down. Now just 2 Valkyries left in the fleet of Sok. Very great maneuver executed from Queen to take out a lot of the potency from the air superiority of Sok. But still, these mutas are softened up.
Well, Sok certainly isn't the caliber of Valkyrie micro, or showing the caliber of Valkyrie micro that we see out of someone like Speed. Just losing so many Valkyries this game, and it's hard to come back when you've lost, 4 or 5 Valkyries as the Terran. But maybe there's a shot, maybe there's a chance that Sok can get in here now with this tank push and pull apart Queen right before his Defiler attack finishes up. There is that chance as he moves forward here. The Hive is just done, but there's no Defiler mound out just yet. Running forward here is going to gun down a couple of those. Oh my gosh, he loses the tank. Unfortunate stuff there for Sok, and he may end up losing all of the Valkyries as well. He's trying to come forward and just hit those, But I mean, this is a scary moment. Queen, is he going to be able to hold this? It's only a few lurkers left.
He identifies just how low HP these Valkyries are. He sees the greater spy. He needs to hunt down these Mutalisks and not let them morph into Guardians or Devourers or anything soon. He knows they're low HP as well. He's just abandoning his own tanks with his Valkyries. This is a critical error from Sark to not chase down these Mutas. And now he's losing these Valkyries to the Scourge as well. This is really well played from Queen to do like a ring around the rosy and just play keep away from these Valkyries and do some technical snipings on these tanks. Now he will survive, and Sark can't push into this pocket and take Queen out in this critical point of weakness in this transition. And now he'll even get these low HP Mutas morphed into Guardians later, which will be even more of a nuisance.
Oh my goodness, he almost got the kill on that tank, the follow-up tank. Oh, he's diving in. It looks like the lurkers actually moved forward a little bit there, and they're going to be taken down. 2 more lurkers pop out just in the nick of time. So Queen is going to be able to hold these 2 lurkers, though. Just sitting on the high ground, catching reinforcements has done massive help to Queen's hold, and he will indeed hold on for the time being. Sark making a switch, a complete 180 now into mech. Is he going to be able to make that work? I don't think that Queen's going to allow him to take any more bases without a fight.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Maybe he can make a good effort of it, though. These Guardians will both be very strong defensively if they're necessary, or will eventually be able to come across the map and also put a lot of pressure onto Sark. Because he hasn't got a massive army, Guardians actually kind of go up in their value quite exponentially. He doesn't have enough tools to deal with them easily, so they will be much more annoying than usual in this current game state. Maybe he can just push across the map with these and start to put Sark on a bit of a clock here, because he has to respond to them, and he's trying to just macro up and go into full-on mech with like a massive amount of factories right now, but I don't think that's going to be quick enough.
I wonder if we're going to see Queen just continue to make upgrades, armor upgrades for the Spire, and, you know, get into like +3 armor and rely on mutas really heavily in this game, because he's already got that upgrade advantage. It's going to take a long time for Sark to start to get, you know, big upgrades like +2 attack. Is going to take a long time. Armor upgrades are going to take a long time to activate on this mech force. And so these Guardians and Mutas might be able to kind of dominate, especially if he picks off a few more of these Valkyries as well. The Valkyries are looking, they're almost going to find the Guardians. They're just below this spot, but they completely miss, and now Scourge are going to come down to possibly take them out.
Yeah, he needs to be careful though. I can't believe he actually left these Guardians go unescorted for so long. Does kill most of those Valkyries though. Queen getting a little bit lucky here. Sark was just barely unable to hunt down those Guardians. Could have actually maybe catched and killed all of them quite easily if he was a little bit quicker in responding to this. Unfortunately, wasn't able to do so. And now Queen, even though supply blocked, is going to do a tactical delay of this third base of Sark and be a little bit annoying now with these Guardians. But he needs to keep sending pockets of Scourge down in to support them, or Sark will clean them up for free.
Yeah, I gotta keep these Guardians moving, get some more damage out of them before they eventually get picked off. No Goliaths at all for Sark. And I don't see any more upgrades for Queen on these Guardians, but Queen is gearing up for something big now. He doesn't want to take this game late. He hasn't shown any signs of trying to take a fourth. Instead, he's denying the natural for mining, and he's gearing up with a whole bunch of defilers. Okay, he's actually moving out one defiler now, looking to take that extra base. Nice, another kill on one of these Valkyries, but appears like all the Guardians, their days are numbered. They are going to end up going down here at the end.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time, but they have done quite a great job, like we thought, because they weren't caught earlier on. Now trying to get a fourth base is Queen. Sark is already onto that with his vultures, and we'll be putting a little bit of pressure on him and making it harder. It's a shame that his weapons upgrades hasn't yet kicked in, or maybe he'd have a better chance at sniping some of these buildings with his vultures. They don't do nearly as much damage, but does manage to kill that, or at least gets the cancel on that. and then backs out. Delaying this 4th base is critical. The longer he keeps Queen on these 3 gases, the better his chances at winning this game. Doesn't currently have his own infrastructure set up nicely yet, though. Has only just barely got this 4th base online for himself, but it is really a great game state if he can maintain it. There's almost no way Queen can win if he can somehow maintain this game state, but his army is a little bit flimsy right now. All his tanks are kind of spread out. He needs to be careful to make sure all these positions are held. Queen trying to see if he can come in and exploit some of these weakened pockets of units.
I'm actually kind of shocked that Sock is way out on the map with his tanks right now. He knows that Queen is on 3 bases and he himself is on 4.
It's because of Defilers.
The aggressiveness of Sock is pretty insane. Yeah, the Defilers are going to be throwing out Dark Swarms in the middle of the map, and I guess that's a better position to be in for Sock. But if he loses all these tanks this early on, man, he's losing a lot of tanks right now. The Defilers are going to come forward. Almost eats that mine, though. Maybe he can start to snipe some of these down. Wow, the Hydras dry out in the end. Great plague there. Oh my goodness, what a plague on all the Valkyries. And now 1 Muta could come in and take all these out, but somehow Sock holds on.
Yeah, I mean, somehow he's holding on by the skin of his teeth. Another round of Mutas coming out. They can maybe snipe these Valkyries if the Scourge can't do it. Sark, though, could fall apart in a heartbeat. It is possible. The front lines have been kind of broken now. There are some rounds of units that are finishing up, but the Valkyries are weakened, so maybe if he gets a snipe on these with the Mutas, if not the Scourge, then there's no way of superiority, and suddenly these tanks are a lot more exposed to counterattacks from Queen. Coming in here, just 1 or 2 turrets, not really anything to really rely on to stop these Mutas from killing your Valkyries.
The Valkyries are all going to go down. He tried his best to make a run for it, but eventually that will fall. That's a lot of SCVs on the 1 Valkyrie repairing it, but not quite enough. Another Vulture slipping in and getting some more kills over at this 4th base. Queen is having such a hard time macroing in this game. He just can't get more bases online, and this is actually going quite Sock favored now. I mean, he's got tanks in all these different positions, and he's got 4 bases running for quite some time. A lot of Mutas coming. Dude, I just don't think it's going to be enough, though. Queen, he didn't continue with those upgrades like I talked about earlier. Otherwise, he would have had +2 or maybe even +3 at this point.
Yeah, the maneuvers of Queen are good, but they're not quite keeping up with the ebb and flow of the game. Sark is just like, you know, in a slightly high enough gear that it doesn't matter too much. He's losing a lot, but he's got such a big engine that he's still churning away. This is pretty good, coming in here and killing some high counts of SCVs. If he can keep killing crazy amounts of SCVs, that'll be amazing for him. But again, though, like, he's not really mining much himself. He's only just now got his own 4th base up. Not even mining at that yet, really, besides a few drones. Only just now made the gas there, and he's now losing Defilers in the middle of the map, and is starting to fall apart himself. Sark could go on a counter-offensive here and start to put assault onto this 4th base, maybe.
Well, it seems like the base at 6 o'clock will get attacked right as Sark is breaking his way over towards the center left. That 4th base may end up going down. That's a lot of Mutas actually dealing a ton of damage to these tanks, while the Goliaths are just trying to get into range. He might end up cleaning up everything, and Sock is going to get pushed back while losing his 6 o'clock. This is a big swing in Queen's favor.
Yeah, this is a really big swing in Queen's favor. Doing a pretty good job of killing so many SCVs overall. Like, before he was killing a few SCVs. Now we're really talking. This will be much more harder for Sark to both make units and SCVs at the same time. And he's getting some more pockets of units that are undefended. Coming here, taking out the tanks and getting on top of the Hydras as well, and running out to avoid too many losses. Pretty good trades overall from Queen. Just needs to maintain enough of a force so we can defend against losing this 4th base. It looks like Sark is trying to press the issue, though, target firing individual Hydras and coming in here and seeing if he can soften up this position for further assault. There are more units streaming across the map now.
+1 is done now for the air weapons for Sock, and +1 attack, +1 armor on the ground as well. The Mutas are quite low. More tanks are coming up. Sock is keeping this game so scrappy. It's kind of insane. At the same time, I think that plays into Queen's favor a little bit. He wants it to be scrappy. He's not in a good position to go into like hyper late game with, you know, very upgraded mech armies. Instead, he is, you know, just pumping out Hydras and Lurkers and trying to, you know, hang on. Oh my God, all the SCVs are gonna go down. Sock, why is he not pulling these? My goodness, that was a lot of damage to the economy. At the same time, base in center left is going down, and the base at bottom center is falling for Sock. My goodness, is this crazy or what?
This is crazy. This is crazy. Like, so much is happening in so many different locations. Both players are being reduced to absolute dregs of economy currently. Queen, though, has expanded to the top right, so kind of compensating a little bit for this. So many tanks are still alive, though. This push wasn't killed, so maybe Sock can reconsolidate and go for more and more advances.
I wonder where he's going to attack into next. And one last volley does come out for that Valkyrie. Those Valkyries have done so little this game. It's kind of insane. I have never seen so many mutas get made in a game along with so many Valkyries and them do so little damage. It really feels like, Sock has misused those units, but another counterattack coming in, getting some more damage for Queen.
I mean, he's doing such a great job, Queen. Like you say, though, keeping the game scrappy definitely does suit Queen. Usually, it's a Zerg player that's making the game scrappy in these game states deliberately because you need to be able to even just trade cost efficiently. And unfortunately, Sark's kind of fallen into his own trap here and is given enough cost efficiency value to Queen to stabilize and get this base up in the top right. Now much more easily and much less susceptible to counterattacks from Sark, so should be able to be safer and force Sark into even worse positions if he wants to keep attacking up here on his vertical axis. It seems like he is forcing the issue, though, coming out here with quite a considerable force on his high ground, trying to get a checkmate move by killing this fourth base in the top right pocket. Queen, meanwhile, counterattacking and killing more SCVs and turrets with mutas.
Yeah, this is crazy to see the mutas getting so much damage at this late stage in the game, where generally we would just see the mech army absolutely annihilate you know, low upgraded mutas like what Queen can bring to bear. This is such a weird scenario that's really of Sock's making. Can he make it work for himself, though? He's killing the base over in top right. He's gonna focus down the Nidus and then work on picking off that hatchery, while meanwhile a bunch of Lings gonna pop out. These of course, tanks gonna get killed immediately by the Mutalisk, and Queen will maintain 3 bases, but we're past the 24-minute mark, Shun. Just about all the gases on the map are out for Queen.
He's not even going to kill this hatchery in the top right, by the way, so it's absolutely insane. He's been splitting his armies so much that he didn't even leave enough behind to kill the hatchery in time before the mutas could do a little cleanup on aisle 5. So the hatchery's still up there of like 200 HP or so, which is wild. It's going to be a crazy comeback from Queen if he can win this game. I actually think Sark probably should have won this game with just how many Valkyries he's been able to make and how much army he's been able to churn out. It's kind of surprising. He kept Queen on 3 base for so long, and he just can't quite find the way he can get the winning game state, and very awkward game to play from him. Seems like he's now trying to move out into the center of the board. Both players kind of even on supply. Queen with a lot of Mutalisks out. Finally a Valkyrie, but that's probably gonna get sniped too.
Yeah, Valkyrie gonna go down instantly. That gets cleaned up, and he's going to attack down into 6 o'clock once again. That's quite a few Hydras to help out, but the tanks are in range. This +2 attack, when is that ever going to finish? The +2 on these mech units is so late. Oh, a bunch of vultures make their way over to top right. Absolutely massacre the economy of Queen, and saving that hatchery seemed like a good deal for Queen a little bit earlier, but now it's actually looking like a bit of a deficit, a bit of a raw deal for our Zerg player, who lost all his drones that were sent up to that top right-hand corner. And the only thing really going for Queen that's remaining in this game is this huge group of mutas. He is picking off tanks, and he may even get a huge amount more SCVs at this base, but Eventually, I think that Sak is going to find the counter to this. Eventually, he's going to put together enough Valkyries, right? He's not just going to keep letting them run in and die, is he?
I mean, you'd think so, but I mean, we've seen crazier things happen in KCM. Saying I don't even know what to expect in this game. It's been pretty wild. It's definitely our craziest game of the evening thus far.
Absolutely, Queen still staying aggressive with this Muta, but this Mutalist group can't be in two places at once, and Sak is already back to mining at 6 o'clock. He is just relentless at taking those bases and holding them, and no matter how many times Queen has harassed, he just keeps on moving more SCVs to that base. I don't even know where he's getting them all from, because there's so many that have already died this game.
Yeah, I mean, finally, maybe he's got enough critical mass to this Terran meet in the center that he can now just, you know, kind of bully his way up to one of these expansions to kill. It's kind of been crazy how, like, scrappy this game has been for almost 30 minutes now. Absolutely bonkers stuff. Queen finally retaking this space in the top right, while also retaking the natural third in the top left quadrant. But as soon as Sak moves out, the Mutas then come back in and harass the mineral lines, kill more SCVs. There's not a lot back at home, though, for Queen to hold off against this big, massive move out for Sak, though. So maybe he can play whack-a-mole with this expansion that's just come up online.
It's crazy. 27 minutes in, we're at 71 supply to 78. Both players are sitting on 3 bases. I mean, trying to get their 4th bases online, but failing on either side because the harassment is so brutal. These Mutas are finally going to be pushed away, and he will maintain this 1 base. But Sak is already getting back to mining over in center right. He's just so relentless. There's nothing left for Queen, man. He's got no minerals left. As long as Sak holds on for just a little bit longer, I think that Queen will just completely dry up and tap out of this game.
Yeah, he just has to keep playing whack-a-mole with these bases that are sprouting up. Catching the drone line as well, that's making its way to the top right quadrant. There are some Hydras here, but they're out of position. Caught pretty much most of those. As long as he can either deny mining or eventually kill this base in the top right, it will probably be lights out for Queen. Unfortunately for him, he's desperately trying to get something done. Sak even target firing down the lava there, just being an absolute nightmare. Sak is saying, no, I am going to win this game. I'm not going to choke.
There's one army moving up towards the top right. They're finally going to meet each other, I think. Now, they've been passing each other over and over, and I say that, and now Queen is sending his Mutas down towards that 4th once again. That is on top of the Valkyrie. These Valkyries have been the biggest money sink you've ever seen, just throwing away insane amounts of money. Oh my gosh, there's the 1 Irradiate, finally getting some big damage on that Mutalist clump. He does pull that out pretty successfully, though, coming from multiple angles onto this force. There's only 1 tank in the army, but Queen just can't quite break it. He's going to pull the trigger one more time, coming forward. He's diving on top of it, kill that 1 last tank. Hydra's come forward. Oh my god, is Queen actually going to hold this?
I think Queen might just barely have it. If the Mutas were helping, the Mutas weren't quite helping in time, though. Maybe he still will clear this up, but a little bit of a misplay from Queen to not quite come back in with the Mutas quickly enough there. So now the Goliaths kind of get away with killing the Hydras before they get taken out. He should still be able to clean this up, but now might lose a couple of drones.
Yeah, drones are going to go down. It looks like Hydras are going to make it up there. No, the drones will be saved. The Hydras clear out all those Goliaths. There's no more tanks. Just tanks over here at the base and bottom center. He's going to start to kill more SCVs. There's 1 Goliath trying to save this. Okay, 2nd Goliath comes down. More and more SCVs are falling. One of the last Hydras ends up going down. This is wild, dude. What the heck is going on? 36 to 54. I thought that it was low a moment ago, but here we are. GG finally called.
He didn't have 100 gas to make a lurker egg on the ramp to block. There's nothing he could do. GG finally called. What a wild game. Definitely the most craziest game of the week so far. I mean, so far this week was a bit of a palate cleanser for some of the craziness we've had in recent KCM weeks. A little bit more chill of a week, but that game definitely was more on par with our other games.
Yeah, definitely a return to form for KCM. Sak versus Queen, man. Did not expect it to go that way, but a wild build meets an incredibly, strong, solid defensive Zerg player, and Sock just went way out of bounds with that game. The way that he was transitioning into mech, and the way that he was using his Valkyries and Vultures and Goliaths, I don't know. I think he could have made that a lot easier for himself if he had just controlled those Valkyries. Practice that in the practice map a little bit more. Patrol micring those Valkyries, and he could have made that a lot easier for himself. Best versus Sock. He's coming off of a pretty sick week of KCM. Last week really blew our socks off, and now he's here repping Protoss as the last living Protoss player in the lineup. Will he be able to take out Sock, who's just been playing out of his mind this week? We're here on a Pantheon cross map position, but no Nexus first this time from Best.
Yeah, I mean, Sark needs all the help he can get against Best, so not having to deal with Nexus first is definitely one of the better ways of playing. Especially because it's cross map, there wouldn't be much hope of a counter-attack, really. It's quite a long rush distance on this map here to come out and deal something. Pantheon is quite a huge map, probably second only to something like Radion in terms of rush distances and how awkward it can be to punish something cross map here. But yeah, I mean, Sark, probably a very strong macro player, but relative to someone like Best, that doesn't mean much. Best is the standard macro Protoss, like really strong across the board in terms of his general play, and will be able to line up very nicely against someone like Sark.
I hope that Sock was able to take a moment and take a breath between that last game and this one. A really intense match against Queen, and it didn't feel like he took a breath that entire game. He was just non-stop aggression. From start to finish, really. Once the Vultures were out on the map, it was like he just did not quit, hitting Queen over and over and over again. And a game like that, if you're not used to it, or even if you are, I think it can take a lot out of you. Hopefully he's still got some gas in the tank to take on Best in this game.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that he's got to worry about, is his fatigue. Does get out into a little bit of trouble here. 2 Marines isolated, 1 already dead, 1 red HP. Does manage to get away with the red HP one, but now the Zealot is putting a lot of pressure on. He's desperately trying to get this bunker up at the front, but they will be targeted down by the Zealot. He knows to keep going for Marines though, because eventually the Zealot will die, and he's not actually able to kill any more additional Marines. So overall, pretty stellar early game defense from Sark, like I would expect.
Ooh, bunker is just gonna finish now, but the Zealot runs by, dropping the 2 Marines that are the lowest on HP into that bunker is a good choice as he starts his factory in this main base. Good micro overall from Sock. Gotta give it to him, handling this pretty difficult situation with only losing a few Marines, but kind of got himself into that by having the Marines out in the front right as the Zealot moves in. He wasn't reacting quickly to that. Bailed himself out of a kind of a sticky situation though in the end.
To be fair, he is the most consistent player at early game defense out of like all of the other like lower level Terran players, I have to say. He's the only player I've seen that's not like up to the same standard as someone like Light or Speed that has very consistent early game defense.
You gotta give it to him, his ability to handle the pressure and to find a way out of the chaos, to bring order to the chaos. He's proven himself pretty capable in that game versus Queen, and now in this first little exchange versus Best, keeping his head on straight and controlling. Now getting into a double factory play with a starport in bottom right. Look at that. Ready to drop some Vultures in on Best early on. Will Best Dragoon control and his Dragoon placement, more importantly, be on point this game?
Well, I mean, Vulture Drop is a great thing to go over against someone like Best. He's not the kind of guy to rush into Reavers, so usually the only thing that could maybe catch you off guard is like, you know, if they rushed into Reavers, they'd have like either a Reaver countering you as you're going in for a Vulture Drop, or the Reavers popping out as you're Vulture dropping, so the Reaver can help out with the defense as well. So because Best isn't that kind of guy, this is pretty well calculated. You should be able to get some kind of value with this against him. The question just will be, will Best be able to identify that and keep enough Dragoons back to just not be absolutely crippled economically against it?
Best setting up some wall-ins, but that can work against you in a situation like this. If you wall that third base and get a bunch of probes over there, and then the Vulture Drop comes into that third, you're not going to be able to bring Dragoons back in time to heal that. Oh my gosh, a Vulture just barely slips by into the main. This is a great start for Sock, killing off 2 probes already. He can't actually do anything over on the top part of this base because there is that nice wall. But at the same time, 1 Dragoon getting caught out is going to be picked off. That's a massive loss for Best. Not paying attention to those units at a critical moment.
Yeah, Sark is definitely getting the better of the early game. I definitely expect that from him to do well in the early game, but now can he navigate this into a powerful mid game? If he can keep himself in the driver's seat against someone like Best, it's going to be huge. He has this dropship out. He needs to be careful with how he maneuvers this dropship around, though. He doesn't want it to be spotted by Best. He needs to kind of go the long way around into the center more, loop all the way around to the left now. There's a probe transfer coming into the 6 o'clock, but ideally he wants to come into the main base from the left-hand side with these vultures and completely surprise Best.
Yeah, there's a bunch of space in Best's base in the top part of his main that's not scouted at all, and the Dragoons are out of position. This could be absolutely massive. Here comes the mines next to the ramp and all the gateways, throwing down some buildings to try and give himself a nice wall to hold back the vultures and defend the spot. Oh my gosh, the vulture slipped over because of the probe control. The micro from the probe's actually working against Best in this case. And now this vulture getting even more damage from the corner finally gets cleaned up. But that was some amazing value out of this first drop.
Yeah, pretty well played from both sides there. It was really well done from Sark to spam click with that vulture to make sure it could slide through that many probes quickly enough. And then coming down into 6 o'clock, he can't really defend against his own position here. He kind of has to evacuate or kill his own pylons to even deal with this. I think evacuation is the play here, because it take too long to kill your own pylon, so just get the probes out there and kill your own pylon. But this is really rough for Best. He's like losing so much mining time. He might catch this dropship eventually, but he's lost so much mining time in the process.
Oh, the dropship is going to try to slip out in the middle. Can it actually escape?
No way.
Oh,
are you kidding me?
Oh, wow. It actually manages to get out. Sock, absolute godlike with that drop, getting a huge amount of damage, and he's already taken a third base during this. Oh man, this is crazy. How did he manage to sneak that out while doing all that drop play and you know, keeping Best busy?
He's getting that third base online, and he's going into 5 factory production. He's doing everything. This guy is an absolute madman.
Oh, and he's gonna slip in again. Shun, this is crazy. Sock is out of his mind today.
What is going on? Maybe he's just been playing so good recently. They were like, no, you gotta let him play. You gotta let Sock play this week. Just let him cook. Just let him cook.
If he takes out Best here, he's gonna have to go up against Soulkey, but that's a game that I'd like to see actually.
Right.
Would be
it's
very
not a matchup
interesting.
you usually would see, right?
No.
I mean, that's crazy.
Sock playing at this level and going up against Soulkey would be super cool to see. Now, Best is going to get a 4th base online, but the earliness of this third from Sock is going to give him such a massive boost. Along with the probe kills, he's going to have way more stuff than Best.
Yeah, I think so. His macro engine should definitely be way more potent. and kicking up into high gear earlier on. He scans, he sees the Reaver tech available to Best, but also sees the good news that there's not a massive count of gateways yet set up, so not really anything to worry about on Sark's end. He can kind of just like kick into high gear, make more factories, get his tech online, just keep counter-attacking with a few vultures here and there and scouting around the map and building up a powerful army. And hopefully Best won't be able to do that like usual guerrilla arm, just come in and just out stomp you. And no matter how powerful of a siege tank line you've got, he always seems to be able to bowl you over. Maybe not the case this time round.
Might even be Sark who's going on the aggressive first. Look at him pushing out already, coming across the map. He's got even supply with Best, nearly even supply, and he's even building those wraiths once again to try and start sniping shuttles. I really like that little flare from Sark. Moving all the way down to this corner, he's going to get into a great position, but can he handle the shuttle play of Best?
Is this Flash playing on Sark's account? What is going on right now, Say? I don't even know what I'm watching. Like, this is blowing my mind right now how Sark is playing. Like, this is completely crazy stuff. Now he's pushing across the map as well. I don't know. This looks really intimidating from Sark almost, but it's almost flimsy. It's almost like he's barely got enough to make it work. I don't know if he does though. Best seems to think he can get on top there and do a lot of damage to him quickly. Beautiful Reaver connection in the center of that, as well as the Dragoons wrap around from the left and the south. Beautiful arc from Best. He's mowing down every single tank of Sark right now. He's finally starting to quench the dreams of this Terran player, but maybe there's not quite enough still. I mean, a few tanks did get left after the rest of that fight finished up, and there's more units coming across the board still. Maybe Sark can still go all the way, but he has lost a lot of his forces.
He is so aggressive, man. Like, there's so many times in this game, well, not so many in this game, but in the last game where I was looking at his position, like, you can't keep attacking. Like, what are you doing? Sark, pull back. Like, you gotta build up this tank army. You know, you gotta build up this these forces here. But he's just relentless with coming in over and over again, and he is not done. He's gonna keep pushing this while taking a 4th base at the same time. This is some good, strong StarCraft play, but it might be a mistake indeed coming in here against what Best is able to pull out. 2-3 Reavers just absolutely wipes that force.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely crazy what we're seeing. Unfortunately, Sark did overstay his welcome though and has to retreat. The game state is going to be reset quite a lot as a result. Best now probably feeling a bit more comfortable about the position overall. It's definitely not out of the woods yet though. Sark is still, you know, got a powerful production behind this with this 4th base coming online as well, so could still see a Sark victory here, but definitely now the power scales have been balanced much more favorably towards Best, so the game should be a nice macro game from here, I'd think.
I imagine he will be able to eventually get into a 5th. Oh, another run by from Sark is going to kill a bunch more probes. He's done so much probe damage this game. It's so funny to see him run straight by 2 Reavers, by the way. The 2 Reavers should be able to deal with that no problem, but I mean, Best has got to be scratching his head as to how those even got past.
Yeah. He's kind of wild how aggressive he's been this game. It is kind of almost shocking. For a second it was like watching Flash play, but then it was like, okay, maybe Flash wouldn't be so crazy as to be this aggressive, right?
Right. I mean, I was starting to question my own eyes, like, he shouldn't actually keep attacking here, right? That's definitely going to get run over, right? But it seemed like it was going to work right up until it didn't. Hard to even call when it's time to go home when Sark is being this aggressive and making it work as well as he is, but he's got to be careful with this next attack. As he's pushing out, Best is gearing up with a much larger army. He's at 200 supplies, so unless Sark has absolutely everything with his army at 160, he's not going to be able to take this force on.
Yeah, he needs to be really careful. This center hole is helping him out because it makes it harder to like wrap around the Terran army. But if he pushes past this point, there might be a point of no return that he finds where suddenly he's gobbled up by Best. So he's kind of safe where he's at right now, but he can't really come out onto the map much further than this. So maybe having to be a bit more defensive and just try and get another base online soon. But Best has 6 shuttles available, so he's waiting for Sark to press forward. He might even go for his own poor man's recall or counter-attack soon. I think Best might be a little bit impatient. He's catching the dropship!
Oh my goodness, the drop somehow lives. Here comes the poor man recall into the main base. That's a lot of shuttles going to be dumping units in. Sark not going to turn his army around, though. He's actually going for the counterattack while this is happening. He sent the vultures home, but he's going to keep the Goliaths with his army. Big storm there, hitting a lot of the SCVs as they retreat as well. Here comes the forces of Best. What's left over after everything else has been dumped into the main, that's what's going to be fighting this army, and actually goes solidly in the favor of Sark this fight. Dragoons making their way over towards the natural, however, might be able to continue this counterattack, continue to deal damage, because there's no tanks in the main base, and Reavers are still present. They could be used to continue to break this position. Some vultures making their way over to the natural. This is an insane situation. Sark, will he be able to pull everything together? One high tempo with 9 kills, almost enough energy for another size storm, but he's not going to be, I think, set out here. Is he actually going to have that time? 5 more seconds and he will be able to cast that. A lot of SCVs have already gone down, and the natural is starting to fall here for Best. Another drop. This is 2 Reavers. 2 Reavers coming into the one base that's still mining.
Oh, and the Reaver shots get over the mineral line. With the Reaver on top of the mineral line, you can shoot over the minerals fields. This is really crazy from Best. He's now starting to race ahead in supply. The supplies were dead even for so long. Now they're starting to get a big gap. 20 supply lead for Best. Sark, though, did take out the Hunter's Magic, putting a lot of pressure onto this quadrant of production in the bottom left, but more and more storms and Reaver shots taking out most of the economy of Sark, who's not currently mining much besides this mineral only on the left-hand side. He's trying to get back to mining at this 12 o'clock. He's finally able to do so, finally killing that shuttle from that Goliath Hellfire missiles, taking that out. Needs to be really careful and quickly set up his bases, though. Sark has not been mining much recently. If he can get these other bases back online and mining, maybe he'll have enough of a macro engine to finish the job, though.
Sark is going to try and split his army and kill the 2 bases on the left-hand side just before retreating. I'm afraid that he's going to lose his whole army, but he's got a lot of Goliaths here. That's going to make it hard for Best to engage with a bunch of shuttles. It's not like he can just fly straight in and fight this. He's going to try and look for an angle. Shuttles are going around the long way. There's more Goliaths up here. Can they actually lock onto these and start to pick off some of the shuttles? No, the shuttles dump the majority of the Zealots out on top of this, and he is going to kill nearly every single tank. All the tanks on the high ground at least are going to go down, and the cleanup is looking good for Sark. I want to see him turn away and start to run from this, because he can't be losing every tank at this point.
Right, but that did reduce Best down to just 1 mining base, so was still some pretty good compensation for losing those units. Hopefully, though, he needs to trade out with the rest of this army as cost efficiently as possible, so there's no counterattack potential for the Protoss player. Best doing a pretty good job of pushing back this force. He's now got a supply lead of 30. He needs to go on the counter-offensive and put the pressure now onto Sark, who's not going to have as many units. Maybe he can get up here and do some storms onto these mineral-only bases and 12 o'clock just by heading from the ground up into his positions. He doesn't even need the shuttles to storm drop, really.
Oh, if only Sark had sniped this observer down, then maybe he could have utilized the minefield a little bit better. Oh, storms on these tanks in that base. 3 go down immediately, but all the army of Best is kind of dried up. Ooh, great storm here on these Goliaths. Actually going to clear out a lot of stuff. Still a crazy game as Sark sends some reinforcements over towards this fresh mineral. Only his 5th base is getting shut down. Tanks are going to come up and eventually clear this Archon, but what is left at the end of all this? Sark is on a crazy rampage in this series. It's just crazy game after crazy game, Shun.
It's wild. It's actually kind of crazy that he's actually making it work against Best. Currently supplies are even. I mean, he did a pretty good job of dealing with the absolute pure crisis level of the episode that Best was trying to execute there, and so many things are happening all over the place, and still Sark kind of holding his own. When all the dust is settled, he's still mining on enough bases to be in a good game state against Best here. Currently head in supply even 115 to 108 right now. If he can get this other base online at the right hand side undeterred, then he's going to be racing ahead in the ebb and flow of this game, and Best won't be able to keep up with the production for much longer. He's only on 2 bases economy.
Another situation where I'd love to see, oh god, these 2 tanks. I'd love to see how many SCVs and probes are left. I can't believe he's gonna lose 2 tanks. After all the craziness that's gone on in this game, he's got 2 tanks just wandering around out on the map. He has a pretty sizable force. In fact, ahead in supply over Best. How crazy is that he managed to come out ahead after all that madness that Best was able to throw at him?
Yeah, now he's in a great game state if he can somehow maintain it. Best coming into the shuttle. There are Goliaths in position to deal with that, though. Does unload with the High Templars. Gets some pretty good Psionic Storms doubling up onto those Goliaths. Doesn't quite have enough energy to storm again. He has now. If he's not paying attention, though, he won't be able to do so. Unfortunately, distracted elsewhere. And yeah, unfortunately not really getting the damage that he needs with those units. And now still Sark in a great position, 144 supply to 135. Coming in here though, sniping some High Templars with these Vultures. This is going to be more of a problem for Best if he can't get more and more utility out on the field, and his Zealots are getting dried up by the Vulture harass. This is going to be an untenable position for a Protoss player.
This is where Vultures become incredibly important. They can do so much when the armies are low like this, and you're super reliant on Templar, and you just don't have enough units to cover everything all at once. Best is like in such a scrappy game like this, those Vultures getting that extra damage, like landing a couple of mines on a few rallying Zealots, is just going to be so massive. He gets the 2 Templar in the back, everything unseats. He's standing on top of mines though. Oh my god, that mine connection was really scary there for a second. Seems like he just has enough though. Oh wait, more Zealots are going to come forward. They're going to drag the mines into these tanks. Oh boy, another tank, another mine goes off, but GG is called. Best taken down. What? Suck. Absolute madman. This guy,
he's sucking it to him right now. He's sucking it to him.
This is the Tornado Terran. He's the Hurricane. Just smashing up against the coast. Best. He can just get completely blown away by the massive tailwind that Sok has generated in this game, in this series. Is he going to be able to smash Soulkey as well? He has so much momentum going this next game, but I think, I don't know, I think that Sok is probably, you know, gonna lose the wind out of his sails pretty quickly once he gets into a game with Soulkey. Let's find out if that ends up happening. All right, no way Sok takes this next game, right, Shun? What would you put the over-under on this match?
Probably, I mean, it's got to be like 80-20, right? At least.
Something like that for sure. If this was a best of 3 or a best of 5, I would say it's probably 90% Soulkey favored, but in a best of 1 with this much momentum behind you, Sok, maybe his odds are a little bit better. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely feeling it right now. I would say the percentages would be, you know, a lot closer than usual. Though this is Soulkey, and Sark is not the strongest in this matchup. I can, you know, the Valkyrie micro, for example, earlier will definitely be more of a problem against someone like Soulkey. So needs to make less mistakes against someone of his ilk. Maybe he can still go all the way and surprise us, though. I want to be completely surprised. Well, Sok appears to be opening with a 1 rack fast expand. Soulkey, meanwhile, grabbing that 12 hatch. This is looking like a normal game, but I'm already primed and ready for something insane to come out.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so far, so good in terms of it looks like a standard game, but that could change very quickly. Nothing too crazy from either side thus far.
Yeah, I think this is completely warranted. Sulky sends a drone to the middle of the map. He's like, okay, let's get some scouting going here. We want to know what Sock's up to, because he is showing an absolute crazy level of just madness in this series so far.
Yeah, he doesn't want to rule anything out. Like, he will probably like be ticking all the boxes of like what are the possible ranges of play until he has total scouting information, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's, like I said, absolutely warranted. Smart decision making for Sulky. Almost loses that drone, keeps it alive though. Gonna send that back home now after checking out this natural. He didn't see, wait, there's something being built in the main base for Sock. That's a factory going down. Is he gonna go the same build as he did against Queen? That would be wild.
That can't be a factory. He's not got gas yet. There's got to be a barracks.
A second barracks in the main? Okay, I do see that the gas is being taken, but it must be that second barracks, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah. They just now started to mine gas, so it has to be a barracks.
Well, Sulky getting in and seeing what he did, do you think he can predict this?
Not necessarily. I mean, he should assume it, but he can't predict it. You know, he can't know for sure, right? But honestly, like, Sulky should be prepared for this. If the caliber of player that he is, he should be covering all of his bases and playing from behind no matter what. So it'd be really unfortunate if he does play greedy and gets punished by this. I would hope to think that he would check for this and at least assume this is a possibility. It should definitely be in his mind right now, considering how aggressive Sark's been recently.
Well, the best way to deal with this 2-Rex is just 3 sunken colonies. It will absolutely destroy the early Marines and basically just completely shut this down. But if he doesn't see this coming and he doesn't get the sunken colony started, he can easily die, and I'm starting to get really worried for Sulky.
Yeah, everything's like a minute quicker in terms of how much faster the aggression is coming out of the Terran player. It's very scary. You've got Stim and medics already popping out and in your face before even usually they would be coming across the map. So you might be relying on pure speedlings to try and deal with this, because I don't think he's going to have enough sunkens in time. He's going to try and make some sunkens, but he needs pure speedlings.
Oh my god, he's going to start to lose these sunken colonies already. This is what killed Queen in his ASL, what was it, ASL 17. Great surround with the drones, getting on top of a lot of these Marines, but only 1 Marine dies.
Wow.
Oh my,
are you kidding me? I think Sark's done it. I think he's done it. Oh my god, what are we watching? My head is hurting. Like, what is happening? He taps out! Sark has done it! What the f are we watching, saying? What kind of menagerie am I imagining right now? Are we in the Matrix? What is happening? What is happening? Someone please explain to me. Tell me.
We've seen some incredible stories over the past year in KCM. Snow going all the way. I think it was an ace that he got in, what was that, season 3, week 6. That was an incredible story. Best last week, taking out Sulky and almost going all the way. That was also an incredible story. But this is like a legend. Sock coming out of the mist, haven't been seen in KCM for like a whole season. I think we haven't seen this guy, and he shows up today, takes out back to back amazing players, and then Sulky to top it off at the end of the night. Incredible showing from him, and just what a story for this Terran player. Just insane story writing from our writers at KCM. Let's jump to the score screen as Terran takes another week. Who could have predicted this, Shun? Terran ahead now, 9-8. That was an insane finisher, an insane finals. little bit sad to see Sulky go out like that, though. That is that can happen, though.
Oh, it definitely can happen. I mean, Turak's Academy, without even having an expansion, is very uncommon these days, but definitely a very strong, potent build order, and executed it perfectly and caught him completely off guard with it. Absolutely phenomenal stuff from Sark. I just don't know how. I'm so blown away by his performance. It's been so consistent this evening. No one's been able to deal with him, and just when I thought it was going to be a much more chilled week where, you know, nothing too crazy would occur, maybe just one or two like good games and that would be it, and instead we have this like roller coaster of a ride. It's almost like the writers had that intention in mind. I mean, let's make the first half of the series like kind of like slow, like a slow simmer, and then you've got this guy that just explodes onto the scene. Really crazy stuff, sucking it to him like that. I mean, what a beast of a man.
It seems like a very cheesy play what Sock did in that final game, but he really had the perfect setup for that Turak's play. Saw that the Overlord was heading around the top side of the map, knew that it wasn't going to be able to come in to scout over the natural. Pushed away that drone before setting up the extra barracks and gas, and everything just lined up perfectly for Sock in that game. And so he went with the best possible play, takes Solky out in his prime. I mean, I mentioned it before, but a low rank player managed to eliminate Queen from an ASL with that exact build, but he did it, I think it was twice in a row to take him out, if I remember correctly. So it is something that it's still in the meta. It's still something that can be pulled out here and there, and if you don't scout it properly, you will just die. Doesn't matter how much better of a player you are.
Just look at this. Terran's just shooting off into like outer orbit on these last two or 3 weeks here. It's been absolutely fantastic showing from them. It seems like we will be having a Protoss versus something semi-finals, but who is it going to be? There's been a very close race. Just look at that, like neck and neck, almost like two dancers just like entwined with each other this entire season, and I don't know how it's going to end.
I wonder if there's any chance we're going to see a final stalemate at the end of this week 8. We've never seen it before. I'll be looking forward to that. If Zerg manages to get the win and Terran gets second place, then that will happen. Of course, if Protoss wins and Zerg gets second place, that could also happen. So there's actually 2 different scenarios where a tie could take place. Otherwise, we're going to see a winner and who will be headed to the finals first. That's going to be coming up next week, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this series. Make sure to check out all the links in the description. I'm going to put a little anti-spoiler at the end of this video. It's been a while since I've had to do that, actually. I think this whole season has gone to the last game, which is crazy. 7 or 6 weeks in a row we haven't had a leftover player. That is wild. That is really crazy to even say that. But KCM this season has been utterly inane. It's been just totally wild. So anything can happen at this point. Shun, any last words to say to the people?
I just want to say Happy New Year, everybody, and have a great one. Thanks, guys.